the session is recorded. I will send this out to you. So let us kick off because there's a lot to get through in an hour. Use the chat function typically at the bottom of your screen, but depending on what device that you are on, if you have any questions, and I'll make sure that I cover as many of them off as I can during the hour. So you can use reactions and emojis and let me know if you need me to stop or talk about anything a little more, and just use the chat box for any questions along the way. All right. Before we kick off, we're here for an hour. As I mentioned, a little bit of housekeeping, here for an hour, so we'll be here until 4 p.m. Queensland time. A quick acknowledgement of country. I'm coming to you today from Toowoomba on the land of the Yagara people. If you would like to pop where your lands are and where you're zooming in from, I'd love to hear that. And I am coming to you today in two roles. One, as my business is The Digital Guide. So for those of you who don't know me, I'm the author of The End of Technophobia, which was Australia's Business Book of the Year and Best Technology Book. And I've been doing marketing and small business technology since 1990. I'm the resident guest expert for marketing and technology on Koshi's Business Builders. So of a Thursday afternoon, you might see me presenting a segment on there. And I am also the entrepreneurship facilitator for the Ipswich, Lockyer Valley, half of Somerset and half of Scenic Rim regions. So you may have seen me in a few different capacities. So just in case those of you who don't know me, so we've got a lot of people in from Cairns this afternoon. So that's where I fit into the picture. I work with Kate in the EF role, the entrepreneurship facilitator role. Hello, Wendy. Lovely to see you. All right, let us kick off. Let me share my screen. I have all of the links ready to go that you're going to want to know about. So basically everything that we're going to be talking about today can be found directly through DESBT, which is the Small Business Employment and Training Department in Queensland. So it is a state-based grant that is up for grabs, and it is the Business Basics Grant program, and it's Business Basics Grant number 4. So if you go in via there, but again, I'll send you the links. I'll create a bit of a page with everything you need to know on here. All right, so the big thing to know is that this grant is launching on or opening on the 24th of November. And for the first time ever, they are doing this grant in a staged capacity. So for anyone who has tried to apply for this grant before, it has been interesting to say the least. So last round, when it opened at 9 a.m., it was basically people had the spinning wheel of death and it was really hard to get into, and there was a lot of complaints. So they've done a staged application process this time around, which is great news because it makes it significantly easier to get your ducks in a row to apply for the registration of interest, which is our first stage. And this is what we're going to be spending our time on this afternoon. Now, the stage 1, to get this in, it then goes to a ballot process. So there's no guarantee that you will be invited to submit for the second round, but those that are, the full application will then open on the 12th of December. So you'll be notified that you are invited to apply for stage 2 prior to the 12th of November. Okay, so the big thing to know, stage 1, registration of interest, all we're going to be talking about today is significantly easier, a much more cut down process to what we've had previously. You don't need to gather all of the information. It is one form that you fill out and then you get all your ducks in a row for stage 2 once you've been approved. So that's a huge change. And I think it makes it, considerably easier for people to apply this time around, which is great. So The staging process for the registration of interest closes on the 5th of December. My very first tip, do not wait. Be available to be online on the 24th of November. And my suggestion would be to have a cup of coffee ready to go at about 7:30 or 8 o'clock. Now, they're saying that the link opens at 9, but we know last time the link went live at about 7, which is what caused a lot of the grief. So please be ready. Just have the link open and ready to go from around about 7:30. If you have to sit there doing some admin and, answering emails and things for an hour or so, that is still a better use of your time than jumping on at 9 o'clock and finding out that the link is already live and that little spinning wheel of death has already started. Okay, so the big thing to know is that this time around, the Business Basics Grant is looking to provide support to increase core skills and adopt best practice, okay? There are 5 priority areas that they are focusing on, and your grant application, so the second part, if you're successful in being asked to lodge a second submission, needs to focus on one of these 5 areas. So training and coaching, website build or upgrade, can include adding e-commerce functionality as an example, professional business advice, strategic marketing services, and or business continuity or succession, okay? Your application and what you are planning to use the money for must fit into one of those 5 areas, or it will not be approved or looked at. The available funding is a one-off amount of $5,000 excluding GST. They will not, so DESBIT will not fund or approve any grant that has a total cost of less than $5,000. So you can't submit for 2.5, you can't submit for 3, you can't submit for 1,500, you can't submit for 4,750. It's got to be a minimum of $5,000. It can be more, and you can say that you're going to pay the difference. It can't be less. And you cannot begin your funding application. You can't begin any work prior to you being approved. So if you have a website idea ready to go, or you want to work with myself or someone else to do some training as an example, we cannot commence the work on your project until you have been approved. Any work committed prior to those dates makes you ineligible for the grant. Let's look at the eligibility criteria. And here we go. First of all, you can't have been approved for a Business Basics grant in any of the other rounds. So this is round 4. So 1, 2, or 3. If you have been approved, then you cannot apply for this one. Okay. Great question in there about the GST, and that is the second part of the eligibility. So, or the third part, you must be registered for GST. Okay. Now you have time to go and get yourself registered for GST. If you think that that is something, or you want to chat to your accountant, you still have time. You just have to be registered prior to submission for the initial part of this grant. So prior to the 24th of November, you have to be registered for GST. Excellent. So well done. Never mind, you're covering it ground. Okay, so fewer than 20 employees by head count, and by head count means we're talking about full-time, part-time, or casual. It does not include the owners or directors of the business, okay? They sit outside of your head count. And yes, you can be a solopreneur, so it can be just you. That is perfectly fine. The big thing is registered for GST. You must have an active ABN, and you have to be headquartered in Queensland. Okay, so if you're outside of Queensland, if you're based in New South Wales or Vic or South Australia or Tassie or WA, NT, sadly, you cannot apply for this grant. You have to have an expected turnover of $300,000 or less. That's gross turnover in the last financial year. And none of the owners or directors can be an undischarged bankrupt, and you must be trading solvent. Okay, so they are your eligibility criteria. If you can say yes to all of those, so no, I've not been approved for funding in a previous round. Yes, I have fewer than 20 employees. Yes, I've got a current ABN. Yes, I'm registered for GST. Yes, I'm based in Queensland. Yes, I'll be turning over less than 300,000 this last financial year. And no, I'm not undischarged, bankrupt, or yes, I am trading solvent. We're good to go. Okay, so if you can't answer to those criteria, then I would suggest that now is the time that you jump off and, get on with the rest of your day, and we'll continue to talk about this particular grant. Now, remember, you can always go in via DESBIT, which is the business.qld.gov.au, and go into the small business section and then go to grants. This will give you everything else that is available or has been available. So if you don't fit those criteria, you can go in that way and have a look as well. All right, let's take a look at the things that are considered eligible. So training and coaching, and this, folks, is where I live, and I will be talking about the services that I can offer towards the end of this, but please be aware I am not the only person throughout Queensland that can offer these types of services. So feel free to, reach out or start thinking about the suppliers that you would want to work with. So training and coaching can be anything around business development, marketing, HR, business planning topics, okay? The training or coaching can be up to 4 months in duration. So you and I could work together to do some implementation of a marketing platform, or to learn and understand more around your own digital skill sets. So social media training, productivity training, CRM, customer relationship management, anything like that is covered by the grant. Website build or upgrades, you can look to do a refresh of your website. You can get a new one built. You can get it upgraded. You can also get new website content developed. Okay, you can add e-commerce as a functionality. You can look to getting professional business advice. So things like business plans, that is something that is available as well. Strategic marketing services, so getting a marketing plan developed, or a SEO, search engine optimization plan, or getting someone to assist you with SEO advice. Business continuity, that SEO optimization can also fit into the training. That's something else that we can talk about. Business continuity and succession, so talking about things like, what are your plans for your business? What's the continuity? What's the succession plan? So if you're looking to exit your business, or perhaps to pass it down to family members, that would be something that you could get assistance on, as well as cyber safety training and tools. And cybersecurity is something that we can assist you with. Now, also important to talk about non-eligible activities. So you can't look at things that are purchased with cryptocurrency, with barter, or any contra in kind. Okay, no general marketing costs. So you can't pay your bookkeeper, you can't pay your accountant, you can't do a tax return with it. There are no rental hire fees or lease fees, no goods or services from related parties, and that includes companies that you may share immediate family or employees with. So now chatting with a mate that works with you part-time and saying, how about we both put a grant in and we go for each other and just share the money? Can't do that. No travel, no franchise fees. You can't purchase stock. You can't register for GST or pay your fees. No maintenance of existing digital technology. So if you run Google Drive or any of those, you can't maintain or get upgrades to that. You can't do anything around your CRM, or if you have Kajabi or something that you're wanting to look to maintain, can't do any of that. Computer hardware, so no going off and buying a new iPhone, sadly, or a new laptop. So no TVs, no FPOS cards, no activities purchased through direct selling. So no multi-level marketing stuff. So no doTERRA or Amway or any of those types of things, no delivery, credit card or transaction fees, no membership or joining fees. So you couldn't join a business club as an example and use that. No salaries, no vehicles, no website hosting, and no implementation of marketing tactics like Google ads or Facebook advertising, etc. Okay, so they're the things that aren't covered. And again, I will give you this link so you can go through all of that and make sure what you're thinking about fits in to the criteria that are considered eligible. And you can check all of that eligibility again there. So again, am I registered for GST? Yes. Do I have less than 20 employees, etc. So here's a little bit more information about the program with a little bit more detail behind it. Okay, so let's go into this. Now, here's the thing, and this is a big one to know, that the program is competitive. Okay, so round one, the registration of interest is just the first step. What they do from that point is they then put it to a ballot, and some people, not all people, will be invited to submit for the full round, for round two. Now, the good thing to know, and we'll talk about this in a moment, is that there is a split of regions. So regional Queensland has its own funding pool compared to Southeast Queensland. And we'll talk about those different regions in a moment. So applications have to be around one of those 5 areas that we talked about. And here's the thing to start thinking about when you are successful and you're invited to submit for round two. And if we're working together, so if we're talking about one of the things for the submission of round two, I will be running a separate webinar for the clients that are looking to go to round two and work with me, so we can talk about how you submit a successful application. I've done a lot of them over the years, and there's a bit of an art to it. So let me give you the things to start thinking about now. What DESBT, Department of Small Business Education and Training, are looking for to approve your application is they want to see your language in the application talk about one of these 3 things. So by working with Tracy and undertaking this training, I will increase my confidence around these core skills. Or I'm looking to boost my turnover, profit and employment, or improve business survivability and resilience. So through getting this new website, we are looking to add an e-commerce functionality, which will then allow me to reach more clients across Australia and improve my resilience and business survivability, and also increase my turnover and profit. So that is the type of language, that is what the department will be looking for if you are invited to submit in round two. Okay, you don't need to worry about that for the immediate round on the 24th of November. Any questions, folks, pop them into the chat box as we're going, because I want to make sure that I cover everything that you are looking at as we are chatting. Okay, what funding is available? So there are 2 funding streams, as I mentioned. So the LGAs are either grouped into Southeast Queensland or regional Queensland. Okay, if you are successful, you will get an upfront funding of $5,000 excluding GST. The only thing that the department is expecting that you will put your hand in your own business pocket for is the GST component. So the department will not fund the GST component. So for example, if we put an invoice in or a quote in for $5,000, it has to be ex-GST. And then the department will give you $5,000 into your bank account. You will need to pay the additional $500 GST component, but obviously, you know, swings and roundabouts, you claim that back on your BAS. Okay, again, the eligibility criteria. So operating within an active ABN, fewer than 20 employees, registered for GST. We've gone through that stuff. So that's fairly straightforward. And the little footnote here, the department is anticipating that you maintain eligibility for the period of the grant funding activity. And remember, everything has to be completed within 4 months, no more than 6. So within those 4 months, they are expecting that you will maintain those dot points, your eligibility during the period of time. Here's the breakdown of the LGAs. So if you are in these regions, you are considered to be in the Southeast Queensland area, okay? Brisbane, Gold Coast, Ipswich, Lockyer, Logan, Moreton, Noosa, Redland, Scenic Rim, Somerset, Sunshine Coast, and Toowoomba. So I know there's a few of you on the call that fit in that region. I know the majority of you on the call fit into this one. So here we go. Ballon, Ballou, Boulia, Bundy, Cairns is a big one, Central Highlands, Cloncurry, Western Downs, my good friends in Western Downs, Whitsundays, Fraser Coast. You can see a lot of Southern Downs. A lot of our regions actually fit into regional Queensland. Here's the thing I've learnt about this grant over the 3 rounds that they've run so far. This top area, Southeast Queensland, this will be oversubscribed. I guarantee you within about an hour and a half, okay? The grant will close. They have so many people apply for that within those regions in the first hour of the grant going live. If you are not online with everything ready to go, very good chance you'll miss out because they go very, very quickly. Our friends in the regions, regional Queensland, you have a much better shot because for whatever reason, I never get a lot of regional businesses taking this grant up. So there is usually a very good shot if you put in and you are based in one of the regions and you meet the eligibility criteria, extremely good shot that you will be in the ballot for the for asking for submission. So we've just had a question there and it's showing up as me, so I'm not sure who put that. When was the first round and do you know if there's another round after this one? So I'm not quite sure what you mean about that. So we're up to round 4 now. Round 1 happened way back during COVID. So I want to say it was about 2022. Let's see if we can go back and see. Round 1, can't remember when it was, but I want to say it was about COVID. They typically do 1 or 2 every year. And I'm not sure, will there be another one after this? I don't know. Look, it's been a great grant for them. So they're certainly not doing one this year. Is there one to land next year? Probably, but we never know. They never say, you know, we'll be releasing another one in March next year or something. Would advertising strategy be covered, not the ad spend, but the strategic planning aspect? I would say so, Wendy. Yes, we would just need to word it carefully around the strategic marketing aspect. So you would be going for probably a strategic marketing plan. And put it down around the advertising side of things. So I would say yes, if it was worded the right way, and I know that you are exceptionally good with the wording. So yes. Okay, here we go. What can I spend the funding on? Here's a little bit more detail. So you can see the grant funding will only be approved for the following eligible activities. So training and coaching. So anything to do with business development, marketing, human resources or business planning topics. So when it may also fit in here, if this is coaching that you are receiving directly from from a strategic marketing person, because we could probably put that down to marketing, and training and coaching of up to 4 months in duration. Okay. So if you are looking at any of that, that will be the section, and I can assist you with marketing coaching, business development coaching, that type of thing. So any of those types of topics, I can certainly assist with that. Can you spread the 5K over more than one supplier? Yes, you can. Absolutely. Number 2, website builds and upgrades. So that could be a website refresh. You might want to add e-commerce. Perhaps you want to develop new content for your website. Okay. Any of those fit and fit well within the eligible criteria. Professional business services, we did a lot of business plans within my business last round. They were a very popular item, and again, up for grabs again. Strategic marketing services. So any strategic marketing plan, including anything to do with search engine optimization advice, remembering that some of that, if it's not a plan, but you want to learn how to do it yourself, could fit within that training and coaching as well. Business continuity and succession can be anything to do with, as I said, the ongoing longevity of the business, or cybersecurity training and or tools. Never applied for the grant before. How detailed do the applications need to be? And can you give any idea how long it takes to do an application? Okay, so we're going to get to the step 1 application in a moment, and really easy. You need to do it. That's one of the big things that they look for. Okay, DESBIT will not fund, and here's the detailed list. So I'm going to give you this link, read through it, but you can see, you know, it's fairly straightforward. We talked about it a moment ago. You can't go off and buy yourself a new telly and say that you're going to use it to, you know, plug in and do some practice presentations. You can't do any direct selling, website hosting, etc., etc. No kind of general day-to-day administration of your business will be covered. Okay, so what are the time frames? Here's something interesting to know. So it is intended that the whole grant be started and completed with some benefits determined within 6 months. Okay, so once you get the approval, yes, all good, the money lands pretty quick. You need to then commence your work, and it needs to be completed within that 6 months time frame. Okay, they will not tell you how long the application process is going to take. It was horrendous a couple of years ago. It has been getting quicker, but I would say, you know, it's going to be a while. So stage 1, here's what we do know. It opens on 9 a.m. on Thursday, the 24th of November. Again, my suggestion, I'm going to switch the light on. I should have done that earlier. It's that time of the afternoon where I've got weird light coming in and I'm looking red. All right. What I do know is, even though they say it goes live at 9 a.m., I am suggesting to people to be sitting in front of your computer with a cuppa, ready to go. Like I said, if you've got to do some admin in the meantime, do that, but don't miss out. So, you know, jump online 7:30, and then you will know whether you are being invited to round 2 by, I think it's the 10th of December it's opening up. So here we go. It's a 2-step. So first one, which is what we're talking about now, registration of interest. Really simple form for you to complete, and I'll talk that through in a second. Very simple form. I would say 5-10 minutes online to register your interest in the grant. Stage 2 application, more detail required. This is where the work comes in, and you have to work for your $5,000. Okay, not huge amounts of work, but still a few hours for you to put in and have it ready to go to upload online. Selected applicants will be invited to do stage 2, which is the full application. Remember, it goes to a ballot. It is not an automatic thing. Just checking, you've been invited to go through to stage 2. Does that mean you will definitely get it? No, it does not. But I can't say I personally, working with the clients that I have, the way that we structure everything, my clients that have, you know, gone through to the full application haven't had one turned down, because we just make sure that we tick every box that they're looking for. But no, definitely, I can't guarantee that for you. So not all ROIs will be invited to submit a full application. The number of businesses invited will be sufficient to enable DESBIT to undertake a competitive assessment. So basically what that means is, if you submit for round 1, the first thing they're going to do is go through them and say, you know, can you prove that you meet the eligibility criteria? Yes, 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 yes. You know, then that will go to a ballot for the full application, and then they will judge you on your application. So the grant applications have 10 days to prepare their ROI, which is the time frame that we're in now. The big thing that you need to do, because you do not want to be doing this on the morning or guaranteed you will miss out, is you need to register for a Smarty Grants account. So you can see desbit.smartygrants.com.au. This is the portal that the department use for all of their grants. So one of your very first things you need to do is make sure that you've registered. Guaranteed, if you're trying to do this on the morning of the 24th, you're going to miss out. Okay, so jump on this as quickly as you can. Happy to put that in the chat box right now so you can get onto that one as we speak, but definitely want to be on that and ready to go. So ensure your ABN is right, all that kind of stuff. So here's how they're going to be assessed. So stage 1 is a ballot process. A number of applications will then be selected to move to stage 2, and each valid ROI has an equal opportunity to be selected. So the number of registrations selected will be sufficient. So they have a pool of money. Okay. I don't know how much that pool is. They haven't told us, but if you can imagine everybody is up for $5,000, it's probably a few million, maybe not that much. So they're just going to go through and go, yes, tick. Okay. Well, if that gets through, there's $5,000. So let's take that off the budget, until they're left with $0. That's essentially how it works. And then stage 2, the people that have been identified from a ballot will be invited to complete the full application, which will then be competitively assessed. Okay. Desbit don't offer to fund all applications, to answer that question. So that's in bold there. Competitively assessed. So that means they will look at your application and how you've written it. And do you write this? Do you explain these criteria in your submission? So this is what you want to be thinking. You want to be thinking about stage 2 now, but there's nothing you need to do with this yet, okay? But these are the boxes you need to tick to be competitive on your application, should you be identified and invited to complete that stage 2. So are you enhancing your core skills? Are you adopting best practice? Are you going to be positively impacting your revenue growth or your gross profit? Are you likely to create a job within your business? Can you demonstrate value for money? Okay. And they also say here, which I think is interesting, that they are equitably distributing successful applications across the state and industry sectors, including priority sectors. So there are some priority sectors for the government, and some of those priority sectors are regional Queensland. So what that tells me is if the regional, I remember we looked at those LGAs a moment ago, so Cairns and Western Downs and these areas here. What that tells me, and this is my gut, this is not written in black and white, so please don't take this as gospel, but what that suggests to me is if there are more people that apply in these areas than in these areas, the state government has put a focus on improving regional Queensland small business deliverability. So they are more likely that they will move funding around to make sure that priority sectors and areas obtain that fair kind of balance, is what they're suggesting there. Okay. All right. So here's the stage 1. Here's what we need to know. So as I said, the last round was a bit of it wasn't pleasant. Okay. There was a lot of backlash for the government and a lot of negative press around the way it was run. So that's why they've now brought in a registration of interest section. So before you apply, you need to register for that link that I just put into the chat. You're not limited. However, only one registration is allowed per small business. You cannot, if you're say you're running a family business, and I see this out in the Western Downs last week. So there were, a couple of people that came along to the workshops that had a couple of different ABNs sitting under the one house. So maybe they had a farm that was an ABN, maybe they had an e-commerce business that was another ABN, etc. You can only submit for one ABN, and they need to be in that eligibility criteria of less than 300K, registered for GST, etc. So once stage 1 closes, it goes to a ballot. Businesses who are invited to submit a full application will be notified within 5 business days that they will not proceed to stage 2. Sorry. So if you're not invited, you're going to know pretty quickly. All right. Which is nice because this took a long time last time. So they're saying it closes on the 5th of December. So they're saying within 5 business days of the 5th of December, you will know if you are not successful. Okay. So that's what that is saying. For stage 1 outcomes, there's no review. You can't go back and go, hey, can you take another look at this? No. If you get sorry, then you're out. And, all judges' decisions are final. Stage 2, so once you have, if you go beyond 5 days past the 5th of December, then it is likely you will be invited to submit a full application. The applications for stage 2 open on the 12th of December and close on Monday the 23rd. So you have a little bit of time up your sleeve. But remember, this stage is still competitive. So if you have been invited to submit an application, my big tip is to have all of your paperwork and your ducks in a row ready to submit on the 12th of December. Okay, don't wait, because they may, and this again is my gut instinct, this is not being confirmed or denied anywhere on the site, but we're in round 4 now. I've seen the way that they work over a few different rounds. They may start assessing grants as they come in. Okay, so you want to make sure that your stuff, if you've been invited to stage 2, have your stuff ready to go on the 12th of December. Okay, not saying you've got to be online at 9 a.m., but be good to go with everything you need to go. Okay, so step 1, here is the ROI and what you need to have. So you need to complete your application with supporting evidence. You cannot upload anything once you've hit send. Okay, you need to submit your own application. You cannot get somebody else to do it for you. So as a supplier, I can't write your application for you. Your accountant can't write your application. Your bookkeeper, it must be done by you. And it is pretty straightforward, I have to say. It's pretty easy. It's a bit time consuming for step 2, but it is fairly easy. And please only submit realistic and probable answers, because you will have to do an acquittal. You will have to go back to DESBIT in 6 months and say, here's what I received, here was my outcomes. DESBIT are only going to consider one application, okay? There's a couple of the footnotes there that you can have a look at. Now, this supporting evidence, I'm only going to talk about lightly, because it is only needed if you are invited to stage 2. We don't need to worry about it for next week, only if we're invited to apply for stage 2, okay? So if you are invited to apply for stage 2, you will need to get a stat deck that shows you've had a turnover of $300,000 or less in the last financial year, and you meet grant eligibility criteria. And then you need your supplier quotes, no more than 2. So Wendy, to your part, you can split it over suppliers, but no more than 2 suppliers. And that details the description and costs of the services, who's going to undertake the project, and an outline of the key services and output. Now, if you're working with a good supplier who has done a lot of these applications, they will know what is required of them and how to structure their quote in the best way to support your application and give you the best chance of success. Okay. And again, if we're working together, I'm happy to run a second session for those that have been invited to submit for stage 2 to make sure you've got the best chance. You can get here a template to complete your stat deck. So it's not something you need to, what is that? What does it look like? And it's really simple. I am the owner of the digital guide. I'm authorized to make this declaration on behalf of my business in support of the application of Business Basics Grant Round 4. My business had a turnover of less than $300,000 or less in the last financial year and meets all that. That's it. It's then signed by a justice or justice of the peace or whoever's going to sign your stat deck for you. And that's it. It's done. It's really, really quite simple, but you do need to have that one ready if you are invited for stage 2. Here's what you need for the supplier quotes. They've got to have their name, their ABN, contact details, and a website URL. They have to detail the grant activity, including description of services, and outline the activities. You need the quote to be on a formal quote or on a business letterhead. So I do my quotes out of Xero. That's perfect. A shopping cart printout, including the supplier's name, if it's an online purchase, is acceptable. You need to verify your main location, and that can either be through a copy of your application to ASIC or a letter from your accountant confirming that your business is based in Queensland. So that's the other thing that you need if you proceed through to stage 2. Okay. So then it goes to assessment. So following the closure, following the closure of the round, so they're actually going to wait, then DESBIT will run a competitive assessment of the process, and they will measure you against this assessment criteria. So start thinking about those dot points now and how getting $5,000 would help your business to achieve these things. Okay, they will prioritize for fair distribution. So we've talked about that, including diversity and ethnicity, culture, people with disability, gender, and age. So if you fit any of those, I would be writing that into your application. Be thinking about, as a mature age business owner, age 50 plus, women-led, that type of thing. That's the type of thing they're looking for. Notification. So you will be notified directly by DESBIT if you have been successful in round 2, and then they will confirm bank account details with you, et cetera, and funding lands pretty quickly. They are pretty good. Once they've approved it, they can take a while to approve, but once that's been approved, you'll get a letter of approval. You'll have to say, yes, I still want to go ahead. And then honestly, the money kind of lands in your account really the next day or within a couple of days. So pretty quick. And then once the grant happens, so you've got to start all of your work within a month of you being notified that you've been successful of the grant. You've got to complete the activity within 6 months. You cannot pay for anything before you enter into the funding agreement. So if you decide that, yep, I want to get my website built, this is going to be great, we're going to, start it over Christmas because that's when I need to be doing it. You cannot start that activity over Christmas. You need to wait until you have been approved for the application. Once you've got the letter, and once you've got the money in your account, that's when you start the process, okay? If there's any variations, you have the opportunity. So if you get a quote from a supplier and over the approval period, you find a better supplier, you can actually say, hang on a minute, I want to work with this person, not with that person. One of the things that we have noticed over the time is DESBIT, because it is a Queensland-based grant, they do not stop you from getting suppliers that are outside of Queensland, but there is a preference given to suppliers based in Queensland. Variation requests I'm going to go over because that really it's round 2. We're not going to spend a lot of time there. And then, as I said, at the end of roughly about 6 months after the completion, you will get a letter where you have to sign off to say, yes, we've done the work. Yes, it's all been great. Blah, 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 blah. Okay. So that's all of the kind of criteria around. There are some terms and conditions that is a little bit kind of more legalese. The party of the first part shall hereby be known as. So you can see the applicant and or you means this person, worth having a look through, but really there is nothing in there that they are trying to trip you up with. As long as you meet that initial criteria, turnover of less than 300K, current ABN, headquartered in Queensland, registered for GST, trading solvent, not an undercharged bankrupt, haven't been approved for a funding round before, a business basics grant before, then you are good to go. Okay. Next thing to know, here's the FAQ. So in case I didn't cover anything there, you can have a look through. If you've got any questions, pop them into the chat box. We'll make sure that we cover them off. But the next thing to know about, here's the form that you're going to have to complete, okay? On the 24th of November at 7:30, 8 o'clock, whenever you decide to get online and the link goes live, this is the actual form that you will need to complete. So make sure you take a look at this and you have all of those questions ready to go. Okay, as we're all pretty used to now, if you get a little asterisk, it means you got to complete it, okay? So it's saying this is the first round. You are being invited to submit for the registration of interest. Only going to accept registrations through Smarty Grants, so through that link that we talked about. You cannot apply in any other way. You can't send an email. You can't turn up in person. You've got to do it through the web link. And here's the first bit, confirmation of eligibility. So this is designed to let Desmond understand your eligibility. So if you've got any questions, you can call them beforehand, but I confirm the applicant has read and understood the guidelines and terms and conditions. So that's everything we've gone through. Yes or no? Really simple. I confirm I have fewer than 20 employees. I have an active ABN and be registered for GST and I'm based in Queensland. Yes or no? If at any time you click a no to those, it will say that you are not eligible. Thank you and goodbye. I confirm that the applicant has not received funding under an earlier round. Yes or no? Privacy statement. So now it's saying that DESBIT is going to collect your information to manage the grant, to promote relevant issues and services to you to research and report. That its employers, third parties could include Queensland government departments, Commonwealth government departments, other state or territory departments, non-government organisations. They will only use your information for these purposes. DESBIT will handle your information in accordance with the Information Privacy Act. You may view, so you can go and have a look at that if you want to, before the day. Pop your business name in. So this must be the entity that you conduct the business activity through. So digital guide, okay? The digital guide, that is my business name. Organisation ABN, you want to pop your ABN in here, and then it will come down and make sure that all of those details. So when you hit look up, it will submit all of that information for you. So it does say, yes, I'm registered for GST. Here's my ABN status. I'm green. I am a not-for-profit or whatever it is. It will commit to all of that and submit that. Confirmation that you have been registered for GST, yes or no. Confirmation that I am based in Queensland, yes or no. What is the operating address? Now, if you work from home, it is your home address, okay? Not a PO box, must be a street address. If you work from a co-working space, it is the co-working space. If you work from a bricks and mortar, it's the bricks and mortar, but it's the street. It cannot be a PO box. And then it will populate with a little map. And then we're going to, I've checked the street address above is entered correctly. So is that where you work? Yes or no? Is the above street address in Queensland? Yes or no? What's my primary phone number? Can be a mobile. In fact, mobiles are better, but you know, if you're still using a landline, that's fine. Just pop in the 07 in front of it. Primary email address. So that's the one that you will be receiving confirmation from DESBIT to say, yes, we're inviting you to go to round 2, or no, sorry, have a nice day. That's the one that you want to make sure that you're getting information through on. And then you're going to put through title, first name, last name, what's your current business contact position, owner, director, whatever, contact phone number, contact email can be the same as those ones, so that's no problem. And then I certify that, and I have to tick, tick, tick. The statements made with this registration are true. I understand the eligibility requirements. I'm aware there is limited funding for this round, and submitting a registration does not guarantee me to progress to stage 2. I understand there's no right to appeal. I understand if my registration is invited to stage 2, my application will be subject to a competitive assessment and not all applications will be funded. Tick, 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 tick. By pressing submit, you review your registration. You will receive an email receipt after submitting. Desbert has not received your registration until you've received an email receipt. And that's it. That is your submission for round 1. Really very simple. The only thing you need to make sure you've got good to go before the day is your ABN. Okay. Everything else I'm sure you know, but you may not know your ABN off the top of your head. So any questions on the submission for round 1? This is the stuff that you're going to need to know for the 24th of November. Okay, there's your link for the registration. Now I'm going to pop all of this into a document for you, into a landing page with a copy of the recording. Sorry, I was having a moment, with a copy of the recording, so you watch it back again if you need to. But really, there is not a lot you need to get ready for the 24th. It's just starting to think through, how do you want to use the money, and how would you be structuring the answers to the questions to make sure that you are competitively based. Okay, you could see in that first section, they don't even ask you what you want to do with the funding. Okay, so you don't need to be submitting quotes, you don't need to be talking to people, you don't need to be thinking about, is it a website, is it training, what is it? You don't need to worry about any of that yet. So it's a lot simpler than it has been in previous years. Don't need to concern yourself with any of that. Are there ever any grants that don't require businesses to be GST registered? Typically not from the state government. However, some of the local stuff, so with maybe your RDA, so Regional Development Australia, or your local council, they will often have funding that is not registered for GST. One of the interesting things in the FAQs was they did have a section talking about why, and basically they were saying that, maybe it was under, it was in one of them I was reading, that that it's because they're looking for businesses willing to back themselves that have growth coming up. So let me see if I can find where it was. So it does cover why, the GST section. That's the guidelines. Where's the FAQs? FAQs. Page 1. There we go. To be eligible for the Business Basics Grant, a business must be registered for GST with the resources available for supporting Queensland small business. The Business Basics Grant program targets emerging businesses who want to develop core skills, adopt best practice and prioritise growth. One of the ways to demonstrate commitment to growth is to be registered for GST. Okay, that's their kind of ruling on that, but I have noticed local councils, etc., do often come out with smaller amounts that are available for people that are really just kicking off. The other thing that you can look at is on Desbert. There is also the Coronavirus Business Assistance Finder, and that will give you, so you can go through here and say, I have 0 employees, it's just me. And then, it takes you down the rabbit hole. What industry are you in? Let's say I'm in retail. Where is your business located? So then if you're in Cairns, for example, you can click through. Does your business do any of these things? Have an existing bank account? Maybe identify as Aboriginal or Torres Strait Islanders, etc. Then it will tell you some additional stuff that you might be eligible for. So that's always a handy one to look at as well. But typically, the state government ones are for people that are registered for GST. Okay. Okay, that is about it. Shoot with any questions that you have. Who's going to put their hand up? Who's going to apply for the grant? That's what I'm keen to know about. Who, let me hit stop share here. Who's going to give the grant a crack this time around? Someone's got their hand up. And what's your question, my love? Pop it into the chat so I can see what it is. Actually, let me just, might be easier if I just, you're going to apply, excellent. So Anne's going to give it a crack. That's fantastic. Love that. So you will get the recording. Is there any questions, folks? We've still got a few minutes. I'm happy to answer anything that anyone is still unsure about. If you want to check all of that information out yourself, then, you know, before the recording comes out, then go in via this link, and I'll pop it into the chat box for you right now, and that will take you down the various rabbit holes. So you can click on that link in the chat box right now, and then just click off to the different bits that we were looking at today. So what is roughly the cost to get assistance from you with the application if we get to the next stage? I don't charge people, like I'm not allowed to do the application for you, and I certainly don't charge you to work with me to get an application in. You're welcome to come along to the next webinar if you are successful in being invited to submit for round 2. If you want to work with me, then I will have packages that are $2.5 or $5,000 in case you want to do something else with someone else. And that can be for predominantly training and coaching is what I do. I work with people one-to-one and in groups to upskill their confidence around, you know, productivity tools or marketing tools, anything to do with the digital space really of your business. The only thing I don't work in is finance tools, and that's about it. So SEO, understanding Google Analytics, understanding social media, all that kind of stuff. That's my jam, and that's what I do day to day. So very happy to work with or help anyone that's looking for that. We'll also be doing business planning, and that's a $5,000 commitment, because that's a big piece of work, and my business partner and husband does that side of things, and he is a highly qualified business coach in Australia, so he does a lot of work around business planning and things. But there are a lot of fabulous people in Queensland that can assist you with different things. I've got some great website people if you're looking for website assistance. I've got a great SEO person. There are a lot of people out there that can definitely help you, and that I know will take care of you, because boy, there are a lot of sharks out there as well. So, you know, if I can help you out in any way, it isn't appearing in the chat, able to receive the link. I'll pop it back into the chat. Oh, I know. Look, talk about the digital guide, knowing what's going on. I had the chat set to panelists, so you should see that now. So the main thing to know is, if you haven't registered for Smarty Grants, I'm just putting it into the chat now. Make sure that you register for that. That's the link that you'll need to put your submission in on. You can do that kind of now, as soon as we hang up. It takes you about 5 minutes to register, and then that bit's done. And then be thinking about everything that you want to have ready for stage 2. All right, folks, we are just about at time. Happy to answer any questions that you've got. But if that's it, so people will hear back on the 5th, whether they go through to stage 1, and they will have the 12th. So no, so round 1 closes on the 5th, but don't wait that long. Get it in on the 24th of November, but it closes on the 5th. So 5 days after the 5th, so the 10th, if there's no weekends in there. Let me have a look what 5 days are. And I would say, to be honest, that 5 days is going to be a bit rubbery, because I've got to tell you, I don't know that I've ever seen them get information out that quick. I could be wrong. So 5 days, 1, 2, 3, 4, they're saying that you will know whether you have been unsuccessful by around Monday the 12th. Okay. So if you have heard from them before around Monday the 12th, that probably means that you've been unsuccessful, but I'd still give it another week, because really they'll get slammed is what I'm saying. They always do. And it always takes them longer than they anticipate. So if you haven't heard, I'd say before Christmas, then there's a very good chance you're going to be invited to apply for round 2. But then round 2 opens up and you've got, those few weeks. Hear back and then the 12th, the application. So, yeah, you only need to worry about gathering your ducks, like getting your supplier stuff, what you're going to work with, all that kind of stuff, if you're invited to round 2. Okay, so just sit on that, start thinking about what you would use the money for. But I will put another webinar out after the 12th. So that week of probably the 12th of December, I'll do a second webinar for those that have been invited to submit for stage 2. And at that point, if you haven't heard and you're unsure, that would be the one that I would register for as well. How do I find out about your network of digital marketing resources? You can check out my website, my direct website, because remember, I work with the entrepreneurship people as well. But my website is thedigitalguide.com.au, and I will pop that into the link. But if you want to drop me an email, let me give you the direct one, Tracy at thedigitalguide.com.au. You can drop me a direct email. Happy to jump on a call with you and have a chat about what you what you're looking to do. So it sounds like if I hear back, I should have a few weeks to gather that info. Yeah, I'd say probably a week or so. And really, a lot of the suppliers that do a lot of work with the government or a lot of work with these types of grants, at least, we're ready. We're kind of gearing up now to be doing those supplier quotes and things for you. So I would say, am I doing any mentoring sessions through YEP this year? Yes, I am. I have started doing them, and they are available for people in my region. And if you're in Cairns, I would hook up and have a chat with Kate. She is amazing, but you can definitely get me through the Ipswich region. So yeah, I would say, really start being positive, start thinking about what you would want to use it for, and start checking out the suppliers that you're interested in working with. So you've got a bit of an idea of who you would want to work with if you're successful. And then that way, you're ready to go with them and say, here's what I want. Can you get me a quote together? And they will know the timeframes that they're working in. But stay tuned. I'll put the round 2 webinar out on YEP as well as my own personal stuff. So follow me on the Digital Guide, Tracy Sheen, the Digital Guide on Facebook. But if you go in via the website, you can click on and follow me on Facebook as well. And I'll be putting it out on my Facebook as well as the YEP stuff. So you'll hear about it in a couple of locations. But yeah, I would be thinking positive, start getting your ducks in a row, and be thinking at least about who do you want to work with? What do you want to achieve with the grant? Is it training? Is it website? Like, what is it? Start looking at a few suppliers so you can get your ideas and the creative juices flowing. And then once you know you're good to go, let your accountant know that you're applying for this. Maybe download the stat deck so you've got that ready to go. So all you've got to do is then take it to a JP and get them to sign off on it for you. Let your accountant know that you will be applying for this, so they are ready to give you the letter and do what you need to do, just so you're not scrambling around at the last minute, because it's coming into Christmas too, right? So the last thing anyone wants to be doing, good grief, 3 days before Christmas is collecting all of this kind of stuff in a mad panic while still trying to buy Christmas presents and get the ham ready and all that kind of stuff. So just pace yourself is what I'm saying. And it is a fantastic grant. So please throw your hat in the ring if you're eligible, because I got it 2 rounds ago to get some work done on my website, and it's such a helpful incentive for all of us as entrepreneurs and small business owners. So give it a crack, I say. Give it a crack. All right. Hope this has been helpful. Feel free to drop any final questions that you've got in the chat. Otherwise, stay in touch. Good luck. Please do the Smarty Grant thing. Be ready with a cup of coffee and be online. Be prepared to be online at 7:30, 8 o'clock on the 24th. Drop me a note on my Facebook and let me know. I'd love to see photos of you all sitting in front of your computer ready to hit submit. And best of luck to you, best of wishes. And if I can help you out with any of it, let me know. Would you suggest going to GST registration for it? Oh, that's a big call. I wouldn't. That's not something that I would answer. I don't know your business. I don't know your industry. You're showing up as me. So if it was me, I'd say, yeah. Chat to your accountant. That would be the one thing I would say. Chat to your accountant. Think about what your plans are for next year. If you've got a business coach or something like that, think about what are your plans for next year. I jumped to GST before I was ready because I wanted a little bit of woo-woo. I wanted the universe to know that I was serious about this business, that I really wanted it to go somewhere, and I wanted it to be turning over enough that I would be needing GST. So I probably jumped a little too early, to be honest, in hindsight. But that's definitely a question for your accountant and maybe a business coach or a confidant or anything. So good luck. Good luck. All right, folks, that's it. Have a great afternoon. Keep me posted. I would love to hear, and if I can help out anyone at all with any of it, just shout out. That's what I'm here for. And we will meet again in another webinar, no doubt. Take care. Have a great afternoon, and thanks so much for joining me. See ya.